Well, from time to time, we get some quite unusual requests. This is an example of a drawing that's come from the AutoCAD environment. And AutoCAD's been used to import a PDF file, and AutoCAD will automatically convert that into a DWG file, and we can then bring it into our software using DXF. But I'd like to point out to you that the conversion in the AutoCAD environment can be really quite unusual. If we zoom in, for the sake of argument, on the text here, we'll pick the letter S and zoom further in. Can you see it's not in fact a character? And the same applies to the letter R. The drawing has been converted in large degree by just converting it into single lines and short segments, and you've got to be awfully careful when working with a drawing such as this. The query is that we receive is, well, why the area of the lettable area here is 381.4 square meters, and our user said, well, this can't be right. When I select the polyline and come over here and look at the area, it says 16948, which seems to be way off. And if we use the distance command and measure the length of the balcony, the width of the balcony, it's 7 units. So clearly the AutoCAD environment and scaling didn't work the way you would expect. If we look here, it's run at a scale of 1 to 150, and that's not a scale that in most areas of the world, most metric people don't like you using a scale of 1 to 150. I've got an unusual marking here, 02468. One assumes that means that the distance from the 0 to the 8 should be 8,000 units. And let's try measuring it. And I'll zoom in here. I want to get accurate measurements, so I'll pick the mid. I want to pick up the midpoint of that line there and go across to the 8. So I pan across and again pick up another midpoint. And I need to be careful. And it gives me 53.33. So in order to get this full size, which is what you would need to work with to do some layouts or whatever you want, a full-size accurate model, some scaling is needed, where you need to scale by the factor of 8,000 over 533. So if we activate our calculator and pop in 8,000 over 53.3, of course I'm on the Mac environment and our calculator here doesn't link. In the Windows environment that would work, that link would work. But I can tell you that the scale factor needed is 150. So remembering that if I click on that red polyline for the, in this case, net lettable area, and by the way, when I zoom in on it, you can see there are actually some errors. That vertex, a new vertex is needed because that grey area should come in through there, but I digress. It's not the most accurate drawing that's been done. And I notice, in fact, that the area is calculated by scanning with a scanner and then converting the information in that way. It's close, but it's not as accurate as you would normally expect with a CAD drawing. But I digress. What we now need to do, now that we know it needs to be scaled up by 150, we go to Tools and select All, and then right click, pick Scale. We'll snap to the end of a convenient horizontal line and just type the 150 and hit Enter and 150 and Enter, and then right click and zoom extents, and there's the scaled up plan. And it the interesting thing to me was when I pick that polyline and come over here to the area hasn't changed, even though the drawing has been converted and scaled up. So what I wanted to illustrate, which is a potential problem in the landscape environment for gCADPlus users, you actually need to save this drawing. And I'm saving it, and I'll close. And then I'll open from AutoCAD PDF. I'll open it up again. I won't make any changes to the drawing, but what I'm hoping to show you is that now the outline of that area, that polyline, and I'll change the view back to a white background. And now, I think the reason it was taking a long time is that big black area through there. But if I pick the outline now and come in here and look at the area 381.34, and if we come over here 381.4, so we've done the conversion correctly. So the key take-home lesson is that if you scale up a drawing that's come in this way, do close it and reopen it, and the values will refresh. In the values in the properties box will refresh. So it should, not that you would be doing landscape design on this area, but a very similar situation could well arise when you're working with an architect who's got AutoCAD, turns his drawing into a PDF, sends it to you, and you have this sort of problem.